And happiness is really almost the most important thing in our lives because we all want to feel happy. We all want to be happy. But what do most of us do? We set goals and we believe that until you have achieved that goal, you need to be unhappy. And you're only going to be happy once you achieve that goal. So most people go through this life being or feeling very unhappy, very frustrated because they never really achieve their goals. But here's the key message. Happiness is something that has nothing to do with people or circumstances. It has nothing to do with goals or achieving goals in your life. Happiness is a decision. And you can be happy today for no particular reason. And once you realize that happiness is a decision and it has nothing to do with anything else, that's when you feel good about yourself. That's when you can feel appreciative. That's when you can feel gratitude, and it will make your life much more positive. So happiness is a choice. It is a decision, and each day you decide to be happy or to be unhappy. And it has nothing to do with people or circumstances. When it comes to happiness, let's look at the timeline. Okay, so we have three phases in your times. We have today or the now, the present moment. We have the past, and we have the future. Okay, people who live in the past, they usually are depressed because they feel, oh, it was better in the past, and things were different and better, and so they feel emotional about that. And people who feel or think too much about the future, they have a lot of anxiety. Okay, because like, oh my God, I haven't done this yet. Oh my God, and they get nervous inside. But the key to feeling happy and feeling fulfilled is to live today, to live in the moment, to live now. And once you realize that now is the only time that you really have, that's when you can decide to be happy. So live in the moment. Maybe you have a job, or maybe you're in school and you have a certain topic or a certain task that you don't really like, that actually you really hate it and you don't really feel like doing it whatsoever. Okay? And what happens when you feel bad about something, you make yourself feel more frustrated. You make yourself feel worse. And because you make yourself feel worse and because you really don't like to do a certain thing, it's going to be even harder to do it. And time appears to stand still. And because you don't really want to do it, it becomes a burden. It becomes painful. Okay? I'm sure you've been in that situation. My advice to you is this. Whenever you feel like you're doing something that you don't really feel like doing, you need to realize that this certain task is all that you have right now. In this moment, that's all there is that you can do. And so why don't you do it with a positive attitude to the best of your abilities, even if it's not your favorite topic, but you do it with an open mind, with an open heart, with a lot of effort and energy. Because why do you need to save your energy? For what? It doesn't make any sense. And most people think like, oh, I don't want to put all my effort into this. So, but if you realize that right now, there's nothing else, then do this with your best of your abilities, even if it's not your favorite topic. And I'll give you a little story to this. So there was this headmaster of this monastery, and he had to do a very simple task. So he was the boss, basically, of a big group of people, but he was sweeping the floor. And then one of his students came to him and says, hey, why are you so happy sweeping the floor? I mean, you're the head of the monastery. You have more important things to do. Why are you doing this, low task, so to speak? And he said, look, whenever I have something to do, there's nothing else in that moment. So why wouldn't I sweep the floor in the best possible way, to the best of my abilities? And because there's nothing else right now. Sweeping the floor is the only thing in this moment that I have to do, that I can do, and so why not do it to my very best of my abilities. And this is important for a lot of things in our life. So whatever you have to do, do it well, because sometimes someone else is watching you and someone else sees you doing that, and this will open maybe some other doors, something that you don't realize, that you can't see in this moment. Doing something sloppy or very is not really going to make your life better or improve anything, because if you have to do it anyway, so why not do it to the best of your abilities? Think about that. I want to talk about money and happiness. A lot of people say, oh, I'd rather be happy and than have money. But that's a very false belief, because money in itself is neutral. You can be happy and have money at the same time, or you can be unhappy and have money, or you can be unhappy and have no money, and so forth. So it doesn't really make a difference. It's not related. And that is key. Your happiness has nothing to do whether you have a lot of money or little money, okay? And I can tell you this because I used to have a lot of money, okay? And it made me happy. It had nothing to do with it. It made me happy. I was happy with a lot of money, okay? But I was also happy with no money. And I was also happy with having money again. So it has nothing to do with money, okay? So happiness, as I said before, is a choice, is a decision. So is it great to have money? Of course it's great to have money, because you can do good things with money. You can improve your level of happiness, so to speak, because you can do certain things that you cannot do without money. So, but money gives you freedom, okay? And it's not necessarily money gives you happiness. So that's a big, big difference. And I want to encourage you to make money, to have money in your life, because it can change your life or can change other people's lives, obviously. But in itself, happiness and money have nothing to do with each other. Let's say you have a goal, okay? And here's your goal. And there are a lot of steps that need to be accomplished first in order to achieve your goal. And this is where you are today, okay? And a lot of people say, once I reach this goal, that's when I'm going to be happy. But that is a false belief, because what I found, when are you most happy? When have you been most happy in your life? Is during the process, is when you are not quite at your goal yet, but you're in the middle of achieving your goal. So achievement equals happiness. Being in the middle of working on your bigger goal is what makes you happy, where you have your greatest emotion of accomplishment, of success. Okay, and that's why it is important to have little mini goals, little mini milestones. And once you have those little milestones, that's when you realize that you're moving forward. And that feeling of moving forward, of being in the middle of achieving something, is what makes you happy. Getting the goal in the end is not necessarily the one thing that will bring you happiness, because once you have it, it's great, but then people start to fall back down into a hole because they need new goals, or they thought that this goal would give them something, but it didn't. So therefore, happiness is a daily thing. It's something that happens while you are achieving your goal, and you should be happy today, not when you reach your goal. Another factor when it comes to happiness or unhappiness has to do with control or lack of control, okay? So when we feel in control of our lives, that's when we tend to feel happy. When we feel we have no control over our lives, that's when we feel unhappy, okay? That's very, very important, so to realize that. So once you feel like you have no control over your life, and it makes you really depressed and sad, then you need to figure out how you can get the power back, how you can get your own power back, or how can you get back the power over the situation. And once you have power over the situation, that's when you feel happy again, okay? And so feeling of control of your life. So control can equal happiness. And no control for most people is unhappiness. Okay? So remember that when things are out of control, get control back and you will feel better again. We also tend to feel more happy if we are grateful. Grateful for the things that we have in our lives. And if you feel unhappy or negative, then just remind yourself of the things that you have, okay? And yeah, you might have problems, and everybody has problems, but there's also a lot of things that you have that you can be grateful for. And the more you become aware of the things that you have, let's say you have financial problems, but you have wealth when it comes to family and love, okay, or children. So be grateful for that. Remind yourself of those things, and that will improve your current state. And finally, I want to talk about other people. When you, let's say somebody else hurt your feelings, okay, and it makes you sad, it makes you depressed, or let's say you love someone and that person doesn't love you back, then you give your happiness into that other person's hands, okay? And if you feel like, oh, if my partner doesn't act a certain way or doesn't do a certain thing, then I'll be unhappy. But if he does a certain thing, then it makes me happy, okay? So, but that is very, very dangerous because that is a formula for unhappiness. So giving away your happiness or putting it into someone else's hands is the number one reason why people are unhappy. So you should be happy because you yourself decide to be happy, and it's no one else's responsibility. It is your job, it is your responsibility to feel happy, no one else's. The same is true for approval or criticism, okay? Yeah, of course it feels great to get praise and recognition, but at the same time, if someone says something negative about you and because of that you feel unhappy, then you make your happiness dependent on that other person, okay? So once you realize that your happiness has nothing to do with how other people feel about you or what they say about you, once you realize that the happiness comes only from within, that's when you have the power back over your own life and your own happiness. And that's how it should be. Because whatever somebody says about you is not your reality, it's their reality, okay? It's from their point of view. It has nothing to do with you. So don't worry about what other people say, what other people say behind your back, what they write about you, and so forth, because it is not true, okay? It's from their point of view, it has nothing to do with you. And you need to make sure that your happiness comes from you and is not dependent on other people. And the same is true for praise and recognition. If you feel like you need constant praise or approval from other people in order to feel happy, then it can be taken away from you just as easily. And that is very, very dangerous. So remember, happiness is a choice. It comes from you, and that's how it should be.